It is the lounge. It is 2:51. Marcus is here. Charlie is here. Stacking en route. Travis Krintz here as well. Marcus, how would you grade the weather predictions for the weekend compared to what they thought would happen versus what actually happened?
Here's what I'll say. I hate your guts when it comes to just banging on the weather people all the time because you don't ever think they get anything right.
They got the blizzard right.
They did, yeah. This would be a time where I'd have to agree with you. I feel like they pretty well missed it. Now, I understand weather moves, it changes, that can happen, but I really don't feel like until the last minute they really said anything about that. So it would be a low grade. It would be a D minus or an F. So somewhere in there.
When the baseball is moved up a day,
I think that ended up working out pretty good, actually, to be honest. I mean, you didn't need to play 6 games on one field, but other than that, it worked out pretty good.
And the rain worked great for us because in addition to state track in Iowa, there were a crap load of soccer games, and all the soccer games got canceled. Cool. So we just focus on all the state track stuff.
It was good for everybody involved. When you get to the day, it was supposed to start Friday night. So when you get to Friday, you should know what's going to happen that day and the next day. You should know what's going to happen. And an inch and a half, and there was no rain. So you gotta do better than that. So very poor. How would you grade the Vegas Golden Knights first season in comparison to the weather?
In comparison to the weather, I would give them an A+.
An A+.
Yes.
I think in comparison to almost anything, you have to give them an A+ just because it's their first year.
Who's better, Charlie, the expansion Golden Knights first year or Michael Jordan?
Ooh, that's a tough question.
Wizards Michael Jordan.
Does it change it if we say, how does the Golden Knights expansion first year compare to LeBron James? Does the answer change then, or is it the same?
It does. How does it compare to everything needs to be compared to LeBron James and Michael Jordan. So it's 2-1, they're up 3-1 in this series?
They are 20 minutes away from ending this series right now.
So they'll win this game 5 here, so that'll be fun. Seems like Washington's going to shit the bed again. It's a good way for Washington to really go up 2-0 on the road.
Yeah.
And they come back and may get swept for the next 4. So that's good. Vegas and Tampa, is that about as good as we could have hoped for in the beginning?
I mean, it depends on how you felt about Nashville or I guess Winnipeg in this instance. Those were basically the 2 best teams. But I mean, if Vegas is going to take out Winnipeg in this fashion, I'm fine with that. They're obviously story-wise, there's not a better story in hockey this year, so that's cool. We're going to get at least 2 Stanley Cup games in Las Vegas. That's awesome. And yeah, I had the Lightning at the beginning, so that's cool too.
There we go. I had Vegas at the beginning, so we'll go head-to-head.
Head-to-head.
We'll be good.
Also, kind of interesting having Las Vegas and Tampa, 2 very warm locales playing hockey in, May and June and stuff. That would be kind of funny. But
Vegas.
I did raise the point on the Stackin' show earlier this week that Tampa Bay has kind of flirted with, at least in this particular era, has flirted with this before and never really gotten anything done either. So they were kind of like the Capitals. Now they've sort of figured things out here in this series. Look like they're going to get the Stanley Cup final. So Tampa Bay maybe sort of getting over the hump to potentially get to the Cup final.
Vegas intrigues me, Charlie, as a non-hockey fan. Do they intrigue you as a non-hockey fan? Are you more apt to watch because it's Vegas instead of Winnipeg?
Yes, I am.
There we go.
At least this year. Now, if the same thing happens 6 years from now, I don't know if it will be then, but it is right now.
Is it more that they're from Vegas or this is their first year?
It's more that it's the first year. The Vegas is the cherry on top of the delicious sundae.
What's Vegas known for, Charlie?
Strippers.
There we go. Strippers blowing gambling. And it sounds like now we can all do the gambling if your state chooses to. And the states we live in will choose not to for a long time because we live in bad states. Marcus, gambling ultimately is the only change here that it is legal if states want it. Is the only change here that leagues may get some more money out of this?
Well, it depends kind of on who you believe and what you read, because I read a thing. I'm not sure if it got in our paper on Saturday or not, but it was from the Washington Post, basically saying that like the leagues are going to ask for this money, the integrity fee, so to speak, and they think a lot of states are just going to tell them to go bleep off, which would be great. I would as well. I don't see really what the point would be in giving them any money if you don't have to. I actually do kind of support the idea of like if you're going to gamble on college games, giving the NCAA or whatever, whoever can get the money to the kids, I'd be okay with that because it's more likely that a college kid's going to get knocked off and throw games because he's not getting paid. So to me, that makes a little bit more sense, but I haven't really read much about that. I think a lot of the illegal gambling will be moved to legal gambling areas. I also think these offshore sites are not going anywhere because they're going to have a chance to.
They better not be.
They're going to have a chance to compete, and considering all the tax that's going to be involved here, I think offshore places will still be able to give you a better price most of the time. So I'm eager to see how this all shakes out. It is kind of sucky to have, to live in South Dakota where this won't happen before 2020 at the extreme.
Even Minnesota doesn't sound like Minnesota's is at least they're more willing to look at it. I should say.
Well,
it won't take a voter initiated deal to get it going. In Minnesota, probably.
It won't take a vote. I don't think it will take a voter initiated action necessarily, and I guess it would to get it on.
Deadwood's going to try to get it going here in 2020. Yeah. Minnesota, hopefully their state legislature just does it on their own. Hopefully somebody in South Dakota brings it up next year just to get it going. It won't go anywhere, but hopefully they have the discussion. So.
Yeah, and they kind of had a thing in January where they're like, "Hey, this is probably going to happen. Do you guys want to do anything about it?" And they're like, "Well, no." And that's fine, I guess. I understand maybe waiting and seeing what other states do as well. Because I lived in Minnesota, I would guess that the infrastructure would be that you could do it at casinos. I think that'd be the best scenario. And I think that's ultimately how South Dakota would do it. My dream of being able to go to any video lottery machine and punch in, Twins and plus 135 today would be great. Yeah. So, but I don't think that's how that's going to go either. So, which sucks, but that would be fun. I don't know exactly how it'll play out in South Dakota. I think the pressure will be put on when, to be honest, because it looks like Charlie's state out of the three that we kind of pay the most attention to will likely get this done the earliest. And I think the pressure will be on when you can go to Grand Falls and bet on a game, and that'll be exciting. So.
Sometimes I forget also that other places in South Dakota don't like gambling because I live in North Sioux City, which is in South Dakota, but almost in Nebraska or Iowa. And they don't have all gambling, but they've got like the video touch screens or whatever. Yeah. Like there's at least like 5 or 6 of those just in North Sioux City. So there are times I forget that there are other places that don't have that at all.
And that's what I want it to be. I want it to be every place that has video lottery has a sports book too, where you can just go there. If you don't want to make it legal for people to gamble on their phones, that's fine. But let's have it where I can go to the piddly little bar in Armour, and I can punch up the game and say, yeah, I want Clemson minus 6.5. I mean, that's what I want. It will not happen, but that's my dream.
I know something I heard on the radio driving to work, I don't know, within the last few days. And I don't know if this is going to happen or if it will be soon because there's a lot of stuff you would have to go through. But this guy was basically saying, and I don't know if it was even the host of the show or someone calling in, I don't remember, but saying that like since so many people have smart TVs now, and as you know, like with all technology, you go further and further, and maybe 5-10 years from now, it could be most people. Like 10 years from now, maybe most people have smart TV. Like you could be at the point where you're watching, an NFL game on Sunday, and through the TV, something, or maybe, I don't know if it would be like through the NFL or through whatever. But basically, like on your screen, it would say, like, this is your account of gambling money. Here's all the things you can bet on right now in this game you're watching. Like, here's the odds. Do you think that the Indianapolis Colts will get a first down on this drive? And you can bet on that, and it'll give you odds on both sides. But basically making the equivalent that, it would be like you are in Las Vegas at a sports betting place. It's just that you are not there. You are, in your living room watching on TV, because like, honestly, I don't think sports betting will really change anything. I very rarely bet on anything. The only time I've ever bet on sports has been like, $5 handshakes. I'll bet you that this team beats this team. So I don't know if I would get into that, but it would at least be interesting. I mean, I don't think I would regularly do it, but it would be like, especially if it's like like a national title or a World Series, but I don't care who wins. It would be like, well, yeah, I mean, I suppose I can bet $5 that they're going to get a run this inning. That might be interesting.
I'll bet you, Charlie, that Favre beats the Dolphins. I'll bet you a mustache.
I did do that.
I feel confident in Favre's ability here to fuck it up at 40 years old.
I would also say, that's incredibly dangerous. Like the betting on like every play, that could get out of hand. And I think that's where it's going. I mean, that's where this is headed.
It's out there now on the sites.
Right.
You can bet on a lot of things.
Right.
You can bet on the first shot after the 9-minute mark. Will it be a 2? Will it be a 3? Will it be a free throw? Which team scores first? You can bet on how many hits will there be in an inning? 0, 1, 2, 3, or more. It's a lot of things you can bet on. I don't. This may not probably hurt Vegas all that much, if at all.
I think people will still want to go to Vegas. I don't think that'll really change. It's like you said, it's still the capital of gambling, strippers, and blow at the end of the day. That I don't think is changing. So that's good for Vegas. I mean, yeah, they won't have the exclusivity of it, but this felt like it was coming for a while. And it is when you think about like the state by state nature and how cobbled together this is going to be, you would think that this would be one of those scenarios where that a federal law would almost be better, but it's clear Congress is never going to agree on anything. And so we're in this position right now. The other thing I read was that, ideally they could treat it like a lottery type system, I think, where like they could have the bookmaker basically be like Powerball is now. They would make, they'd take these bets, because rather than having 50 bookmakers for every state, you could have like one group kind of behind it. It'd make it a little easier to move the money around and stuff. But I don't know if these states will have their crap together enough to do that. And that would maybe make it easier to, get a line that makes sense. But if they want to do it this way and let people exploit bad bookmaking line making, that'd be great. So,
Charlie, how do you think it's going to change TV? Are there going to be shows now devoted to this?
Yes.
Things. I mean, they still have it on the bottom line. Sometimes they'll have the point spread, and Scott Van Pelt does some good stuff with that. Do you expect shows? Do you expect a segment on the TV like it used to be, in the 80s, 70s, and 80s with Jimmy the Greek on CBS with Brent Musburger?
Jimmy the Greek. I haven't heard that reference in a while.
Somehow got away with that back in the day.
Alluding vaguely to how the game will go. I think they'll win by a touchdown.
It's like this team, I picked this team with a check mark on every category: running game, passing game, yada, yada, yada. But I picked the other team to win. Wonder what that means. That he thinks they're going to cover? Oh, interesting.
I think there's going to be a show out there that'll do a network that'll have a show.
Yeah,
I
think
that's a guarantee. I'm absolutely sure of that.
I think it will change, sort of like how how ESPN went from never talking about gambling to talking about it some. Like, I think you'll probably notice there's a change. I don't think it's going to be as dramatic as some people say. Like, I'm sure there will be some shows, related. There will probably be shows related to gambling, just like how there's, fantasy football shows on ESPN. I don't think it's going to overtake everything, but I think if you despise gambling and don't like or care about it at all, you will probably notice it more. But I think if you don't really care either way, which I would certainly put myself in that camp, you'll probably notice it at times, but I don't think it's going to be, like whenever you're watching, like if you're watching Alabama Auburn and the game's close, will they maybe mention a line a couple more times? Yeah, but I don't think they're going to be like, oh wow, 6 first downs and then on that drive that broke the over there. Like, I don't think it's going to be,
I want the line on the screen at all times. I want it to be part of the score bug. Say Alabama's a 20.
So like when it says their rank and their record, then you want parentheses -4.5.
Alabama -20. Let's say Alabama's up 17. It goes down to Alabama -3. They need 3 more points to push. That's what I want.
There's a little thing in the corner that's got what the over/under is too, so that and it's
live odds.
It's adding it up as the game's going, so that people don't have to do the math.
So old people at the Sunday night Summit League don't have to ask people behind them what the who won that Penn Princeton game. Did the second half over/under of 70 hits? Yes, it did.
I would say regarding TV, I think it will help. Honestly, it'll help the sports. I don't see it really making a huge impact on the NFL or the NBA because people are basically watching that to begin with. I think it may help people watch games longer because they're going to stick it out till the very end if they've got action on it. I also think it will definitely help the weird, midweek, Tuesday night, Wednesday night games that are on college football, college basketball.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Get out.
Hey, look at that. Oh, no. That
what are you doing? Something. Are you talking about the hockey game?
The baseball. Sorry, the baseball.
Yeah. Twins are going to win. Good.
I think it will help with that. Somebody mentioned, I think it'll help the WNBA. It'll help golf.
NASCAR.
It'll help NASCAR. Any sport that hasn't been getting a lot of action on it before or more attention should be getting it now, I would say. So I think it will help raise the ships of the leagues that, frankly, could use a little more attention, to be honest.
I know something else I heard somewhere that I'm not going to – I don't know. I can – wait. Okay. Sound got it fixed. Anyways – something else I heard that would be fun would be, especially in, obviously a college football guy, so I read lots of college football stuff and look at it through that prism. But I think the most fun thing would be, like we're talking, if you can bet live in games, would be like when a kicker lines up for a 42-yard field goal and based on his body language, like at that exact second, you're like, oh, he's going to miss it. I'm slamming down $6 on that real quick.
And you can indirectly bet on it based on like the over/under or point spread or whatever. Let's say it's 21-20 and the over/under is, 43.5. Like, well, if he misses it, it's going to be the under. If he makes it, it's going to be the over. So you can do it that way. Thankfully, about an inning from now, these shadows are going to be right over home plate. So it's going to got to get this game done with quick before they call it.
They were talking, and I guess I never really thought much about it, like which positions are most likely to be influenced by, being bought off in any of these sports. I guess quarterback would be the number one position because you could just airmail every pass. I would assume kicker would be number 2 of all these sports. Maybe a shitty pitcher, or if you are like a star player and you do a bad job in basketball or something, but because you're one out of 5 guys, I guess what would be some positions you guys think could be
defensive back,
point shaving? Yeah,
you're like, oh no, I slipped.
It's not a position, but referees and umpires
they're going to be coming for him.
The thing is, they're not going to buy off, the guys making millions of dollars here.
Right.
So people
that's why I would say college sports is ripe for it. I mean, they're going to have to do something there because otherwise people are going to get to these guys. I would just assume that's going to happen a bit more.
Although, to be fair, I mean, there's still places that gambling's been legal for the last 60 years, and it's not like it's happened a lot.
No.
I mean, there have been point-shaving scandals in collegiate sports in the past, I know, but not that often. Like, I'm certainly not going to say that it could happen more now, but I don't know if it will be dramatically more. But still, I agree with what Traxler said. I don't think it's going to happen in the big four professional sports because even if you're making – minimum salary, you're still making six figures. And would you want to blow a $500,000 a year job for, one large payday? I mean, it would have to be an incredibly large payday, I think, where, and collegiately, you could just be like, oh, here's $11,000. And they'd be like, oh my God, that is a lot of money.
Why was it legal in Vegas?
Because I think they changed their rules or, set it up this way, and they were sort of grandfathered in. I don't know how long they've had it, but I would assume they've had it a long time.
It's going to be more accessible, and I'll say for those people that want to bet, they're already betting.
Yeah.
So, it's probably going to be people that are going to, $10, $20 here or there. I don't know if there's going to be people living in the sports books in Deadwood or whatever they're going to be doing. But it'll be more accessible. And, if you're on vacation somewhere, maybe we're going to the Vikings game. We're going to place $50 on the Vikings. And then that'd be enough for your tickets. So there you go. You can bet your tickets.
Yeah, that too. I don't know if we mentioned that. I think, and this is not going out on a limb at all. I would assume that, in professional sports, they will have, you can bet in the stadium there. Like, oh, yeah, you can certainly. And, and not just before the game, but, for quarters and for halves and update things during it. I would imagine that gambling places will make a lot of money off drunk fans through that.
And I honestly think, there's been a lot of question about what the leagues will do. The NFL is still trying to play hardball and saying, oh, yeah, we're not for this. We don't, the integrity of the game. It's like, well, look how quickly when they saw there's some money to be made on fantasy football, they jumped in on that. So this has been a sport that has been cognizant of gambling on it for a long time. I would be shocked if the NFL at some point doesn't embrace it, and in part because their owners want to make money off of it, whether that's, taking sponsorship money from bookmakers and that sort of thing. I just think, their position right now is just pretty stupid. Pretty hypocritical. Yeah, hypocritical. Exactly the word I'm looking for. I mean, just the fact that they're going to act like they're holier than thou right now, and it's just ridiculous. So,
as it is with most positions that they take.
Exactly. Yeah.
The concussions, the fantasy stuff, the domestic violence stuff, the drug use, all that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how it changes TV and then how it changes maybe even attendance at games if you're more. And it'll be interesting to see how much money is made off of this and how much is it tens of thousands of dollars every single game. If it's in the stadium, you've got 60,000 people in a football stadium. I don't think it would take all that much to have hundreds of thousands of dollars bet. And if the teams get 1% of that, 25% of that, whatever, that'll be lots of extra revenue for them.
They were making the remark, and maybe I can put it in the chat or we can put it on our Facebook page. But the Washington Post story basically said that bookmakers take right now is 20% of the total amount bet. And so they're like, if leagues think they're going to take 1% of the whole shebang, that's quite a bit of the money that they're already that's already in their pot. So that's why I think it's going to be a tough ask for leagues to get too much money in this scenario. I don't see that happening.
I'm trying to think of how I heard this worded. Something else interesting I saw is that it basically was saying that like bookmakers are important, and the way they can go through stuff and like keep things like the accounting side of things, and this is what we're going to do, but that you could potentially have like, you know, the sports leagues, instead of like being in competition with them, like essentially just like buy them almost. Because like if you're the equivalent of like the guy who comes up with the lines for Vegas, or I shouldn't say for Vegas, for some casino, like casinos make a lot of money, but I'm pretty sure the NFL or the NBA or Major League Baseball make more. So you can just like hire guys away from there by saying, yeah, we'll pay you, you know, $700,000 a year to do this for. And like potentially, I mean, and this is, you know, all this stuff's up in the air. We don't know how things are going to go out or play out, but I could see where a lot of sports betting places lose out just to other establishments that aren't involved in sports betting, but have so much more money in the first place that they're just essentially like, well, yeah, we're just going to buy out, you know, the people you have that do this, and we're just going to take it over then.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. Something I hadn't spent much time thinking about that way. So
the Cardinals have a reliever. His name is Jordan Hicks. He threw a ball today 105 miles an hour.
Cheating.
Wow.
Very fast.
What's the fastest Aroldis Chapman's ever thrown?
I don't know. That's right there. I mean, that's 105
I think that's as fast as I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's as
like
far
even
as,
video game baseball. I don't think I've ever seen a creative pitcher that's thrown that fast.
That's in the ridiculous level right there. 105. NBA playoffs continue to slug on through here at a molasses type level.
Stupid.
Cleveland won a game yesterday. Golden State. Finally, we're getting into a rhythm now, but we have this is the second day of 6 straight days of games. So they're every other night here: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that is good news. We can start to get to the finals. If they wanted to wrap the finals up by the end of the month, I'm sure they could, get pretty close to that. But we'll be in the middle of June before this thing wraps up. Again, playoffs not great. First round was okay. Ever since then, it's been bad. I guess I'll have Marcus speak for Amon.
Newton.
That's it.
Amon has claimed that the NBA is at a high level and all whatever. If you remember what he said,
I don't remember this at all. But I can maybe take his point and turn it into something.
Said, like, there's the NBA. There's a lot of I don't know if it's talent or the NBA is a deep league or something. But here we are, and it's a one-team race again for seemingly the 18th time out of the last 20 years. Ratings are up. People seem to care for whatever reason we're watching. It's fine. Games haven't been close or competitive. Does it really matter? He likes New Orleans. Really, it's the same old story as the league has been for, I don't know, since the 1980s.
Right.
There's one or two teams in the mix, and hopefully, if you got a good 1-2 mix there, you can get a handful of
every 5 or 6 years. There's a surprise team like the Mavericks or the Heat, but when they had Dwayne Wade and Shaquille O'Neal winning the whole thing.
Like back in the day, you had the Spurs and the Lakers. It was like, well, it's going to be probably be one of the Spurs or the Lakers win it, and then the Celtics get good, and it's the Celtics, and it's whatever team LeBron is on, and it's Golden State, and there's 2 or 3 teams. We got Houston and Golden State. Cleveland can make it there. They can't win it, but they can at least make it there because they've got LeBron. So, is the league any deeper or better than it was a couple of years ago? Maybe it's better.
I just would like to make the point about Jordan Hicks and his 105-mile-an-hour fastball. It was nowhere near being in the strike zone, and the catcher didn't catch it either. So I feel like that is worth mentioning. Yeah, he didn't pipe it either. So
too much. He's got too much movement.
Put it in the zone, buddy.
Too much movement.
I think maybe the remark Amon was making, and I can't remember where I heard this, but I think it was somewhat similar. Maybe it was a Bill Simmons point. But it was like the fact that the league has so many like really great players or, fun storylines to keep an eye on. Just a lot of talent, but it's all collected. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all collected on 3 or 4 teams. I mean, Boston isn't even at full strength. I mean, they would be another super team.
And they're rolling through the East.
Well, yeah. And I mean, would there be any doubt about I think I would at this point I won't doubt LeBron maybe winning this series, but I would doubt it if it was this Cleveland team against a full strength Boston. I don't think that would be much of a contest. So it is interesting in that way. Yes, pull the arrow, shoot it. Okay, yep.
Oh, hit it! Oh, wow, we hit that big. I guarantee you message is Amon and Rodney. I guarantee you.
What's that?
There we go. Continue.
But at the end of the day, like you said, for the last 30 years, we've basically had dominant teams. Really, now you need the super team aspect to even be a championship contender. So I don't expect that to really go away. I don't really know what they're going to do about it. To be honest, we probably could use a few less teams. Let's contract a couple if we've got some time.
Relegation.
Bucks and Kings.
I just think, there are a lot of great players, but at the end of the day, there's not a lot of good teams. I mean, everybody that was in the lottery deserved to be there, and there were probably a few teams that didn't make the lottery that should have been in there. I mean, it honestly should have been about a 10-team playoff, and that's being generous.
Like Giannis is great.
Yeah, he's great. Karl-Anthony Towns, great. Anthony Davis, cool. That's nice.
Damian Lillard.
Victor Oladipo trying his damnedest. But, yeah, it's just, at the end of the day, whatever,
I thought the East was making a turn, Charlie, maybe a year or two ago, where they were like competitive with the West, maybe like 3 through 8.
Yeah, I thought they were headed that way too, and it maybe does not appear that way after all.
And then things happened again. Nathan Stacken, are you here? Maybe not. But then you look at it this year again, and it wasn't. There he is. What do we got on here? We got Jackrabbit City. All right. Can we hear you?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Very good.
But then, I mean, what does it say, Charlie, that Boston, without their 2 best guys?
Yeah. I don't want to get hot takey about this. So, but I want to say that like Boston still has good players, but without their top 2 players, they're beating Philadelphia and they jump up 2-0 on Cleveland. And some people were just actually secretly Boston's the most talented team and Al Horford's a top 10 player. And I don't know. It's like, I mean, they're good. Don't get me wrong. But, without their top 2 players, beating Philadelphia and jumping up like they did on Cleveland, I think is more of a detrimental thing to those other 2 teams than how good Boston's talent is. That's not to say they're void of talent. I mean, I think they've certainly got guys.
They have the brightest future out of any team in the NBA, wouldn't we say?
I would say so.
Other than Golden State, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. The East is very strange. And at the same time, still, if somehow Cleveland can take it to 7 games, I fully expect if it's a 1-game winner take all game 7 for LeBron to have a triple double and be like, oh, we won by 8 points.
I mean, a lot of people were picking Boston to lose in the first round. I thought Philadelphia and Cleveland, a final Philadelphia and Cleveland would be where it's at. But the Celtics, they've been pretty fun to watch with a bunch of young guys, 19, 20, 21 years old, stepping up, playing very well. So they should be exciting to watch for quite some time if they can stay healthy. Mr. Stacken, your Vegas Knights, 5 minutes away from getting to the Cup.
That's right.
Exciting. It's very exciting.
Yes,
this
it
is a great thing for hockey, is it not?
I think it is. I think that the Vegas Golden Knights story should be a bigger story nationally than it is. But I get why
Just
there are
wait,
some.
it'll be bigger after they win this game to advance.
Well, I do think that there's skepticism because this is no expansion team has been able to put together a roster like Vegas was able to.
Has any expansion team made the playoffs?
Yeah,
No.
I think there's been 3 that have won a playoff, either a playoff game or a playoff series in their first year.
3 of them, including Vegas?
Including Vegas, yeah.
Vegas and 2 other teams have done this.
And I can't remember if that was just in hockey or if that was across all sports. I don't know. But.
Your capital stacked and really shitting the bed here. Really shitting.
Oh my God! Like, what is going on? Felt really good when they were up 2-0. Going back to DC is like, okay, if you lose one game, it's not the end of the world, but the doubt is certainly would be there if they lost game 3. But I mean, to give up 2 goals in game 5 in the first 2 periods, less than a minute in, it's just like, my God, like Washington, what? This is why no one can believe you. Now, sweet, you got by Pittsburgh, but do everyone a favor and just beat the Lightning. I mean, nothing says Stanley Cup final hockey like 2 southern states, 2 hot states like Florida and Nevada having playoff or having a right to see who wins this.
Top 2 strip club cities.
There you go.
Well, that's true.
Atlanta wants in the mix there as well.
Miami also.
Atlanta's losing right now with 3 minutes to go. This is their team. Come on.
Let's go, Peg. Is there anything, Marcus, that Cleveland's a very up and down team, and it seems to me to be an effort situation.
Yep.
Is that how you see it?
I'm just very annoyed by their entire team outside of number 23, LeBron James.
Not even Steve can get you excited.
Well, said he's gonna try hard. He's gonna suck, but he's gonna try hard.
Is Sevi Ballesteros?
He's been dead. He had brain cancer. So I don't know. I don't know what they. I mean, they need to play harder. I was
like, how are we at this point? How the hell are we at this point where it's maybe we'll play tonight, maybe we won't.
I was watching game 1. They just weren't even bothering to defensive rebound. It was terrible.
It's disgusting to watch. The whole thing sucks. Charlie, do you like? Did you pick Houston?
I picked Houston when the playoffs started, based almost solely off the fact that Golden State and Cleveland had both been in the finals 4 straight years, and to win just your conference 4 straight years, while it's happened, is incredibly difficult. So it was based pretty much just off that. And even though it's tied right now, I don't feel great about Houston winning.
Stacking, do you think Golden State sweeps at home here the next 2?
I think they for sure win game 3. I would imagine they win game 4, but I would put the odds of them sweeping games 3 and 4 at home relatively high. I just let me just ask you, is what happened, like, are the Rockets going to play any more inspired after the tragedy that happened at Santa Fe High School, like, on Friday? Is that gonna change anything? What?
I don't think it matters.
Okay. Then I'll say Golden State wins 3 and 4, because you knew that Houston was going to come out and play a lot better in game 2, and Golden State probably just seemed happy to get by with that first game, knowing they had control of the series. So I think they'll take care of business in games 3 and 4, and it'll be series over in no more than 6.
No more than 6.
I also think it'll go 6, but I don't think it'll be a close 6, if there's such a thing. And the Echo's back.
The Echo? Is it back?
Yep, the classic Texas back Echo.
Well, we will effort this. We don't know how to deal with this here. Let's take a gander.
Winnipeg.
Vegas is to the Stanley Cup.
Get out.
They're going, folks. Go to hell, Winnipeg. Go to hell.
I like how they say first time in franchise history. Of course, it's the first time in franchise history.
Does that fix the echo?
It appears so.
Marcus, who would you take with the first pick if you're the Suns?
I would take Luka Doncic.
What do you like about Doncic? The other guy.
He's 6'9". He's 6'9". He'd be a good NFL quarterback, I think. I'm not sure what his hand size is, but think about it. He's tall.
Do you think that is what will happen?
I honestly, I think he's already played at a pretty high level in Europe. I like that. I don't like that DeAndre Ayton got nowhere with Arizona. I realize he played pretty well, but also you don't. A big is not where it's at. He doesn't have any of the skills that you really want.
He can shoot a little bit.
He can shoot a little bit, but he's not like a 3-point stretch. He's not. I wouldn't call him a stretch big, right? I mean,
can I ask you a question here? Are we watching? Are we all watching Winnipeg, Vegas? Are the fans cheering for the history that Vegas has made? Or are they cheering for congratulating Winnipeg on their
Vegas? I can tell you that much.
Cheering for Rodney.
They're cheering for the royal wedding that happened this weekend.
They are.
Hey, Serena was there.
Who?
Serena Williams.
The hell you say?
The hell I do say.
Charlie, what was the appeal of the wedding? I can't think of anybody I would ever want to see. I don't want to go to any weddings besides Stackens.
Thank you.
Or anybody else. Anybody else in this chat will make an exception. But I can't imagine giving a shit enough about a wedding to actually watch it on TV. Could you explain this to me?
It is not something that I am all in tune with either. I also don't care about weddings. I've been to weddings. I usually look at the wedding as the vegetables you have to eat before you get the dessert of going to the after party of the wedding, which is usually a lot more fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. People you've never met getting married, like I can understand the oh, that's interesting that they got married, but I don't know why you'd be like, I need to watch this. I guess the same thing happened when Prince Charles and Princess Diana got married. I don't know how many decades ago that was.
It was in the early 80s, yeah.
That stopped the world because I guess, he's the next in line after Queen Elizabeth to be the King of England. But I don't know. It's very odd. But to be fair, I think it's also worth noting that there are, I'm sure, plenty of women who watched that wedding and cried and loved it and then think, oh my God, how do you guys watch sports every weekend? Those are so dumb. Who cares?
Is it that they want to be, that's what they want? Is that it?
To Charlie's point, somebody tweeted that they got up at 3 a.m. during the Winter Olympics to watch curling on TV. So if people want to get up to watch the royal wedding, you can't really say much if you did that. So I understand that. I didn't watch any of the royal wedding, didn't even really look at the highlights. I am infatuated with the whole idea of the monarchy in Britain and just all the dumb shit that's happened in the past. The fact that Prince Charles, he was with his current wife before his first wife. He was with his current wife when his first wife was still alive, and now he's with her now. So that's a pretty good way of giving a big old middle finger to your first wife. Also, most of these kings and queens that get married, they're related to each other. That's pretty weird.
Was this West Virginia?
Pretty much all of these people are not attractive for the most part. Now Meghan Markle is. I think Kate Middleton obviously attractive, but they've got British teeth for sure. So I like the spectacle of just how weird that family is, and the fact that Britain has paid these people money for doing nothing for years. So that's great. And
Real quick here, based off what Traxler said, and Stackin, I think, can back me up on this. Traxler said he's intrigued by royalty and monarchy, specifically the British ones, the cheating on people, the backstabbing, and also how weird things happened, and declining, and saying how strange it is that at times there's maybe people a little close genetically doing stuff. Basically, it sounds like you more or less described Game of Thrones, Traxler.
Well, I don't watch Game of Thrones. I can't say I'd have a lot of interest, but maybe I should be watching it. So there is that, and also I have watched The Crown on Netflix. Big fan of that show, and it's good. Yeah.
Well, here's I think some of the more of the intrigue, specifically with this wedding, is that Prince Harry is everyone loved him for whatever reason, going back to, when Diana was still alive, or even after, like he was that little kid that everyone just loved. He married outside of the country to a divorcee, to someone of mixed relations, and to someone from non-royalty. Like, I don't think Kate Middleton was of any royal descent.
Honest to Christ, I didn't know she was black until like 3 days ago. I was like,
yeah.
What? You shitting me?
I think there's just, for Harry to go outside of all the norms and the customs, I think is in part why everyone, at least stateside, is like, oh my gosh, this is huge. This is one of our own marrying into this.
Like, I can understand them giving a shit a little bit about it, but we may care about it more than they do. Like, why do we give a shit? I understand there's an American in the situation, but even if you take an American out, so what does F. Lariano have a no-hitter here? I think F. Lariano has a no-hitter through 6, so that's good for him. So what's the intrigue? Let's say it's too British. I just don't understand the entire deal of.
Well, somebody made the point that in America we have Memorial Day, we've got the 4th of July. That's our kind of excuse to show off our patriotism, our country pride. They don't really have anything like that in Britain. They all kind of live vicariously through this royal family that they desperately want to see have success, especially since everybody likes Prince William, everybody likes Prince Harry for the most part. And this is their chance to celebrate this. The royal weddings have always been a big deal. I can't exactly explain why, but that is one possible explanation.
I agree with Prince. I think you make valid points, Traxler. I do agree with Prince. And it's not just for, like, British stuff. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of who, like, the most famous single men and women. Like, I don't know. If like
Beyonce,
if Brad Pitt was single and Brad Pitt and Jennifer Lawrence got married, like, I wouldn't care to watch that on TV either. I would just be like, I don't care. That's not.
Well, and in America, we don't televise those weddings. Maybe people would watch if we did, but
maybe, yeah, I don't know.
What about John Cena's wedding? You going to watch that when that happens?
Is that going to happen?
Well, they're in a storyline. They've broken up.
Right. So this is, to me, it makes a lot of financial sense for them to stay together. So I can't imagine that's going away.
Nathan Stackin, your favorite Jake Cave moment?
There was one?
Yes.
Oh. I'll say the moments leading right up until it terminated.
Wow. You don't have any idea what you're talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
He's a gentleman, a former Yankee farmhand who the Twins acquired early in the season, right before the season, and now he's on the Twins team. And he hit a home run yesterday, so good for him.
Very good.
First major league hit.
Fourth outfielder.
Talking about him getting terminated.
Big fan when Jake Cave got terminated. Okay, all right.
Hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully he's around for a while. I'll go to Marcus again for the Amon perspective. I think we all thought the Twins were going to be good. I have them winning the division. Swami thought they were going to be good, and then he buried them, and then they're good again. I believe he's buried them now for a second time. Are we? I believe that I predict this will happen at least 8 times. We're already up to 4. I think 2 more buried. They'll be good, and they'll be good, bad, good, bad. I think we're a quarter of the way through the season.
And they are right now playing at a rate where he would continue to do this too. So that's
we're not even 2 goddamn months into this thing yet. I think they were 2.5 out today. So if Houston can beat Cleveland tonight, they'd be a whole game and a half out. That's a lot of ground to make up here in the fucking middle of May. I'll hopefully talk with Amon tomorrow a little bit about it, but the mood swings too much. I think too much.
I don't care. They didn't play well to start the season. The Buxton has not been great. I guess I can live with that at this stage.
He's been bad.
Sano being injured this whole time, and really there not being any. I mean, he may come back now this next week, but there's really not been any positive developments there, and that's just not a great sign either. The pitching, Lynn and Morrison not being very good to start their time here. That's
Morrison's turned it around. Morrison's good now. Lynn's still bad.
He had the big hit today, Morrison, and he's had a lot more solid at bats. But yeah, Lynn's bad. I mean, 70 ERA.
Morneau said yesterday.
I don't care what you want to say.
Mm-hmm. That's what Morneau said.
I think Stackham.
Well, I was just going to say, Morneau said in the post game yesterday on Fox Sports North that, oh yeah, Morrison's been playing better. He's got better at bats. He had a terrible April. It's been a much better May. But can't get any worse than April.
I can work on TV then.
He's hitting 300 in this month, so he's been good. First month was terrible. Second month is good. Lance Lynn, that's been a disaster. Jake Odorizzi has been very good. Gibson, good for the most part there. Brios started good, then he was bad. His last start was very good.
Bullpen's been up and down, mostly okay.
Yeah. Everything's been up and down, so they're right around they're 19 and 22, I think. So they've got Detroit. Detroit's a lot better than I thought they were. Their pitching's a lot better. Lariano, he's been very good for them. So they play Detroit starting Monday, I believe. So I'm fine because they still haven't played Kansas City and Chicago all that much. So they've still got, 35 games against those guys, 30 games against those guys. So Stacken and I talked about that last week. Lariano's got a no-hitter here in Seattle. So
that's 3 no-hitters, friends.
Huh?
That's not good for our Mariners this week.
It's not. We picked the Mariners. Hopefully we can get a 500 week out of this, above 500 a week. Stacken, have you been paying attention to what Tampa Bay Rays have been doing with their pitching?
Well, I know they are in the process of just about sweeping the Angels, right? So that's pretty impressive.
They
got the 6-man rotation, don't they?
Well, Sergio Romo, he used to be with the Giants when they were good.
Mm-hmm.
Sergio Romo was their closer for a bit. I went to the Dodgers last year, and he started the last 2 games for Tampa Bay.
Okay.
He went an inning yesterday. I think he struck out the side. He went an inning and a third today. Gave up a couple walks. I think he struck out 3 guys. No runs, though. Are you a fan of starting a reliever? He's gone 1 inning thus far. He likely won't start tomorrow. I can't imagine he'll start. Are you a fan of this? Do you see this going anywhere? Do you see this as the future of baseball?
No, but I mean, this is the franchise that Joe Madden did a bunch of crazy shit with. So I guess if there was a franchise in Major League Baseball to do some shenanigans like this, it would be the Tampa Bay Rays. So if it keeps working for them, until it doesn't work, keep going, keep doing it, and all the best to them.
Charlie, I'm very intrigued by this idea. I think this is we're on the verge of something here.
It's interesting. I hope it works out for them.
What exactly do you see this leading to? Because I don't I gotta be honest, I don't really get it.
I think 20 years. I think we're awfully close to not having any more pitchers throw 200 innings. We're awfully close to that.
Yeah.
I think the average starter goes now less than 6 innings a start. I think in 20 years from now, I'm sure you'll have your aces, very sparse. But I think it'll be, bring in a guy 2-3 innings here, 2-3 innings there, 2-3 innings here.
So it's like the All-Star game. We're going to get 182 Major League Baseball All-Star games.
But we're already at the point where starters they never almost go 6 innings.
Yeah, so my question is like, why only 1 inning? That's what I don't necessarily get about.
I think they'll start, one time through the orders. But like you saw how Milwaukee used Hader last night. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, I think I would certainly buy more of the 3 innings or the 3 pitchers trying to throw 3 innings each. That to me makes a lot more.
That's where I think it's going.
I can't really get excited about having somebody who used to be a closer throw 1 inning to start the game. It's like, well, then what? Now you're in the 2nd inning. At some point, you still need somebody to bite off some innings. I think you still need somebody who's going to throw 3, 4, maybe even 5. Yeah, I'd prefer 5 innings at some point. And to me, you might as well just still start with somebody that you like for 5 innings. But I also understand that we'll see. Baseball is
do you need 2 closers then? Is that what they want?
Whoa. What the fuck? Okay, Stack.
Do you want your team to have 2 closers then?
I just want you to be the best pitcher.
Let me say it. Put it this way. I think I kind of get what Krenz is saying. I think Krenz doesn't care about the labels of the pitchers.
No, I don't care. No,
just have it. Let's have a guy throw 4 innings, a guy throw 3 innings, and a guy throw 2 innings.
Sure.
And that maximizes their efficiency where they can throw hard. And however it goes, it goes. I mean, I don't think he wants to do like 4 different guys each throw 1 inning because that would chew up your bullpen. I mean, and I suppose you could still have starters. I mean, you could have more than 5 starters even. But it's just like, yeah, you're going to bite off the biggest chunk as the starter. And then after that, we're just looking for, for a guy to come in and throw as hard as he can for 1 or 2 or 3 innings and then get out of there.
The first pitcher doesn't have to go the longest. If the first pitcher goes an inning, the first pitcher goes an inning. If it's the 8th inning, the 9th inning, the 1st inning, whatever. We got to get 27 outs here anyway. So if the first guy gets 18 outs, good for him. If the first guy gets 6 outs, good for him. If the third pitcher goes 5 innings, good for the third pitcher. If you want to mix it up, but it's so been conditioned for 120 years now. The first guy goes, if he can go the entire game, he can go the entire game. All right, we can go 6, 7 innings. We'll bring in our setup guy for the 8th. We'll bring in our best pitcher for the 9th. So Tampa Bay, they've done the 3 innings at a time thing, and now they're trying the opener, as they call it, the opener. So I think it's good, exciting, and it's important that it works. And thus far, 2 for 2 with the deal working. So there we go.
By the way, the Vegas Golden Knights, the first NHL team, first-year team to make the Stanley Cup Finals in St. Louis in 1968. So there you go.
Louis did it. Vegas going to win no matter what you're.
No. I mean, I would pick the Lightning over them. Just like I probably picked every other team they played in every series, so that's fine.
Just because sometimes I like numbers and things repeating itself. It was 68, you said, when St. Louis.
It'll be exactly 50 years.
Yeah, so it's the 50th anniversary of St. Louis making the Stanley Cup Finals as an expansion team. So they're going to celebrate all 4 of them that maybe are still alive. Say good for you, Las Vegas. You did what we did.
I don't think St. Louis has won a playoff series since.
Yeah. At some point, they had Wayne Gretzky in the 90s, if I remember right.
So in 2068, the Helena gun owners are going to the Stanley Cup Final. Is that correct?
They're going to get it done. Yes. Yes, they are. Stacking.
I think it's far more likely that their nickname Stacking would be the Ranchers if they're out of Helena.
Okay.
The Boots. They're the Helena Boots.
Or that. It could be Boots.
Or the Butte Butts.
Seems like there's a lot of big guys stacking at the top of this NBA draft this year. You got Jaren Jackson from Michigan State. You got Bagley from Duke. You got DeAndre Ayton from Arizona. You got Mo Bamba. Got some big bastards here. I think DeAndre Ayton's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them we'll see. Marcus wants him to take the European. I'd go with Ayton.
I think.
Hey, you cut me off, damn it, earlier.
What happened?
I mean, he's 6'9". He's a pretty good guard. Can shoot.
He's every European player you've ever seen. He can, he's a.
Yeah, well, why wouldn't I want somebody who's 18, 19 years old who's already played professional basketball for 4 or 5 years? To me, it just why, and also why else would they have a foreign coach that they hired? So to me, Doncic probably got to be the guy. He better be the guy if that's what you're going to do coaching wise.
I'm all about conspiracy theory when it comes to the NBA lottery. And with Phoenix winning the number 1 pick, I cannot find any conspiracy except that the NBA just really wants DeAndre Ayton to stay in Arizona.
The conspiracy is that the Doncic's coach is their coach now. That's the conspiracy.
It's not even really a conspiracy because this is the way that they did it.
And they want the Kings to end the longest active playoff drought in the NBA, and that's why they got the 2 seed or the number 2.
The Kings are not going anywhere. I mean, does anybody see them making the playoffs next year?
I see him going back to Kansas City. Is what I think.
All right, there you
Omaha,
go.
Kansas City.
Yeah. All right, I gotta go. Take care, guys.
All right. All right. Larry,
I think it'll be interesting to see if Kansas City or Omaha get a professional sports team, because I think that not universally, but the major colleges that are in those areas do not want a professional team to take action and eyes away from what they do. I don't know if they could necessarily stop it, but I would imagine Nebraska football and especially Kansas basketball, since it's the same sport, would be like, no, we don't want a team here because we want Kansas basketball to be our professional basketball team.
It is, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, they're more college.
What about Pittsburgh?
In the pros, Pittsburgh basketball, sure. Give it up to them. We were all alive, right? 2000 to 2010.
It's a rough.
I was in a coma for part of that, but no, that's a lie. I wasn't really in a coma.
The 2000s. 2000.
You were in 2 comas.
2 comas. You were in coma?
Yeah.
Oklahoma and Tacoma? Sure.
Yeah, my coma was the first year and the last year of the Bill Callahan era at Nebraska.
It was rough. I've got every NBA team here with the center who started the most games. 1 strike each. First 1 to 4.
So we just have to name one of the centers that has had the most starts, or are we doing it team by team? Yeah, so we pick the team and then guess the center who had the most starts in the 2000s.
Yep. You get 1 strike, and if you get 4, you win.
Fair.
Charlie goes first.
Okay. I will say I'm overthinking it. Even if this is wrong, I don't care. I still have to try it. I'm going to say the Los Angeles Lakers, and they had Shaquille O'Neal.
God damn it.
Shaquille O'Neal by 70 starts over Andrew Bynum.
Andrew Bynum. I forgot about that guy.
A couple of these got to go deep for some of these teams. Stack them.
Well, I'm going to
Yeah, if you're going to lose this one, I will.
Yep. Oh, without question. There's no question about it.
No question.
Let's go right out of the bat. Just end it all right now. We're going to go Minnesota Timberwolves, Al Jefferson.
Rasho Nesterovic.
Who the?
Al
Another
Jefferson.
name I haven't heard in a long time.
Al Jefferson is number 2, so I'll give you that.
Okay.
Okay. Next, I'm going to do the Sacramento Kings.
Well, how about this? No strikes, just first one to 4.
Okay. Sacramento Kings. I feel like it has to be either. It's got to be either Brad Miller or Vlade Divac, and I'm trying to figure out who was there.
Those are the top 2. Those are the top 2.
Longer. Let's see. When I was in high school, Divac was the center, and I remember he was the center there for a while. But I know that when the Kings exploded and blew up everything to start over, which it's weird how they've never been good again since then, that I think they kept Brad Miller for a while. God, they were both journeyman big men that played for a lot of places too. I don't know. He was so goofy in the way he always flopped and people hated him, but I loved it because I was a Kings fan. I'm going to say Vlade Divac.
Vlade, number 1. 2 for 2. Stacking.
Wow, this is great.
He had a lot of 322 starts. So.
Well, okay, so
how many did Brad Miller have?
235. So 70 more.
Would I'll go San Antonio Spurs and I'll say Tim Duncan.
David Robinson.
From 2000 to 2010?
Tim Duncan's a power forward,
not a center.
Well, I know. I didn't think it was Admiral. Didn't he retire after 99?
No, he's around like what? Or their last? Well, you got to.
It was like what, 03 or 04, somewhere in there. He retired, maybe even 05 or 06.
I thought he had retired long before, so that's why I didn't say him. But he was right. Yeah.
Zach, and you pick interesting teams sometimes with these.
Yeah.
Do you know who is Robinson is 1? Tim Duncan is 3. Who do you think's in the middle?
Just Darko Milicic.
Rasho Nesterovic.
Oh my God!
You picked the 2 teams where he's in the top 2.
Good for me, I guess.
Good for you, Charlotte.
Okay, now I'm into trying to remember playing NBA Live on PlayStation 2 and rosters and teams when I mean, I still kind of watch the NBA, but not as much as I used to. And there's some guys who are done playing, and I don't really remember if they were power forwards or centers, but I'm still going to try this. I am going to say Phoenix Suns and Dust V's guy, Amare Stoudemire.
That's correct. 206 starts for Amare Stoudemire. 3 for 3. This is going to be becoming a 3-0 sweep.
Who was second for the Suns? Was it Shaq?
Shaq was number 3. Jake Gadolidis.
Do not know who that is.
Not real up on Jake Gadolidis.
I will go Oklahoma City Thunder, but back from when they were still in Seattle.
Well, yeah, you'd have to do Oklahoma City /
Yep. Let's go Sean Kemp.
Jerome James.
Fuck.
Charlie to sweep this thing under the carpet here.
I'm trying. Let's see.
Have I ever told you how much I suck at these questions?
Yes.
I'm trying to think if there's any glaringly obvious, because I'm sure there's at least one obvious one or relatively obvious one I missed.
I got one.
There's 2 obvious ones here.
Oh, I just thought of one. Houston Rockets, Yao Ming.
Damn it, that's the one I had.
I'll give you one more second.
No.
Yeah, Yao Ming was one of the 2 big ones.
Hakeem Olajuwon?
No, I'll give you one more. Just yeah.
Well, that was mine.
There's one guy he's a really good. He was a good center. There are two guys here. If I say the team, you'll get the guy.
There's a few that I've thought of now. So after Stackins, I'm going to try to guess a couple more at least.
What you got, Sean?
Memphis Grizzlies, Mark Gasol.
Memphis, Lorenzen Wright.
Fuck.
Oh, man, I haven't heard of that name in forever either.
Charlie, what you got?
Let's try the Portland Trailblazers, Arvydas Sabonis.
Joel Prisbilla.
I don't even know who that is.
He used to play for the Timberwolves. No, he was at the University of Minnesota.
There you go.
New York Knicks, Tyson Chandler.
Eddie Curry.
I thought it might be one of those two Bulls guys. I always get those two mixed up. And then what was the it was Miami Heat, Alonzo Mourning.
Brian Grant.
I have heard of him. I have not thought of him probably since the Heat won that title in 05 or 06 or whenever.
Probably better known for being on Portland during those dirty Portland years where they were good. Orlando, Stacking. Who do you think is number one for Orlando?
No. Now I feel like an idiot.
Stacking.
Oh, Dub. Dwight Howard.
How about 76ers? Dikembe Mutombo?
Samuel D'Alembert. Not Mutombo. Mutombo was number 2. How about Detroit?
Oh.
Ben Wallace.
Yeah.
Yes. Eddie Curry.
Ben Wallace, maybe like the worst
good guy.
Good play, like decent player, but who was so bad on offense.
Yeah.
Is DeAndre Jordan this decade's Ben Wallace?
Probably.
No, because DeAndre Jordan's at least like he's a terrible free throw shooter, but like at least he can get points inside and dunks and like I'm not saying he's Shaquille O'Neal, but he does have some offensive capability, even if it's limited. It's just the stuff he does well, he's fairly good at. Where Ben Wallace just wasn't good on offense, period.
He was like 6'7", 6'8". He wasn't a huge gentleman. Eddie Curry with
Rasheed Wallace.
No. Eddie Curry with the Bulls. Al Horford with Atlanta.
Al Horford. I thought about him, and then I forgot about him.
Andrew Bogut with Milwaukee.
Oh, man.
See, some of these guys, haven't they played center and power forward?
Probably. Tyson Chandler with the Hornets. One more we could maybe get. Cleveland.
Oh, geez. What's that guy's name? See if I can remember it. Zydrunas Ilgauskas?
Ilgauskas. He may be number 1 on the list for most starts. So your big guys, and hopefully these big guys in this draft will be better than most of those big guys from 10 to 20 years ago. Anything else as we wrap it up?
My hypothetical NBA question.
Oh, yes. Get to this. You said this was good?
Well, I thought it was kind of fun. I mean, potentially you could talk about this for 20 or 30 minutes because it's hypothetical.
Oh, shit.
Or it could be dealing with, the NBA and really good big guys. And we've also got the draft coming up soon. And there's a catch to it that makes it interesting because it's fairly routine to start with. But like if there was an all-time NBA draft, you were either the owner or a general manager that the owner trusts implicitly, so you have complete autonomy. And you're getting guys when they entered the NBA. So you'd be getting Michael Jordan after he left North Carolina, LeBron right out of high school, like knowing everything you know now about them, and you get them to start their NBA career. The rub is you don't have a pick in the top 5. You've got the 8th pick in the all-time NBA draft. So some guys are clearly Michael Jordan and LeBron James aren't going to be there at 8. So there's some guys you're not going to be able to get who realistically are, because, even if you would say I think, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is going to fall that far. It's he's not going to fall to 8 probably. But realistically, who would you be hoping you could get? Who do you think you could get at 8 to build your NBA franchise around? Because they do it in all sports where who would you pick first? And that's, that's different. But at 8, because there's still going to be all-time Hall of Fame best players ever, but it's not going to be I don't know. I could be wrong. I feel like in some order, Michael Jordan and LeBron James would be the first 2 picks, and then probably a few big guys. And then I think it starts really getting interesting around 6, 7, 8, 9 in there.
Hold on, let me take a look at this here.
While you guys are thinking, I asked another friend of mine this. I saw it somewhere on Twitter. It was someone who's a football writer who had this conversation with someone else. And could Shaq still be there at 8? Maybe. I saw someone on the Twitter guy said that. He'd probably be a liability defensively unless there was another center, but I don't know if anyone would be able to stop him ever. I know a buddy of mine, my first thought was Kobe Bryant maybe, even though I don't know if I love Kobe Bryant, but he's pretty good. My friend who used to coach at SDSU for a while, he said Kevin Durant, which I thought was interesting because his career's not over, but there's nobody that tall that can do some of the things that he can do shooting-wise. So I thought that would be a good choice too. There's a lot of good choices, but...
Well, okay. Do you want to start with who would be picked?
We can do that.
Or do you just want to? I will give you mine. I think one guy who would be on the bubble would be Larry Bird.
And that's what we would have to do is, you don't know for sure who would be there, but, someone who you think realistically, and I think it's realistic that Larry Bird could be there at 8.
Someone like a Bill Russell would be interesting in today's game. Because he's probably overrated just because of all the titles. Wilt Chamberlain's probably, I don't know if I want to say significantly better than Bill Russell, but if you switch spots, it's not like the Celtics aren't winning 8 titles in 8 years with Wilt Chamberlain. They still are. I think Jerry West would be a guy. Tim Duncan would be there. Kobe would be there.
This is combining something with something else, but the way the game's changed and is more 3-point heavy now, that if you got a big guy, I think especially someone like Shaquille O'Neal would probably, in a lot of times, would be detrimental defensively, and there's things they could do. But there's nobody in the NBA now where they basically have stretch fours. Even if they said, oh, we'll just foul him every time, he's big enough and so much stronger that, I think he would still just carry him to a dunk. And it would be like he's a bad free throw shooter, but if he gets fouled and he dunks every time and is then shooting an and one free throw, I get that 3 points is worth more and he's going to miss a lot of those free throws, but you're also, eating into fouls of your own players and everything. And he was a liability with the Lakers a lot of the time, because they would do ball. Mike Bibby got paid a lot of money because they'd be like, oh, well, we'll just screen him and then he can't guard him and he'll shoot it. And the Lakers still won all sorts of titles with him then. So, you could still be incredibly good with a guy who does not do what typical NBA teams do now.
I might go with between Kobe and Tim Duncan, a modern player Hmm. Maybe Tim Duncan, maybe? A big guy who can shoot a little bit, not threes, but he can shoot. I think we go Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem would be taken, right?
Yeah, because this is knowing what we know too. This isn't we're going to pretend that we don't know how things are going to go out. So I mean, like if you're getting Kareem, even though he was like not as good when he was old, like you could potentially have him for 18 years or whatever.
Magic Johnson would be in the top 5, so we know the top 5. Then after that, you get into like Oscar Robertson, Larry Bird type territory, Bill Russell, Jerry West, Tim Duncan. I would go, considering I will take a guard probably with my second pick, I could get a Steph Curry or somebody like that. If I'm picking 8, I would take Tim Duncan. And with Kobe, and if he's taken somehow, Kobe Bryant, I guess, would be my number 2.
I think those are both good answers. Do you have a thought, Stack In?
I do not.
Ah,
that's a great point. I thought that was good.
Any player in NBA history outside of those guys in the top 5, and you're gonna Vikings it with Mike what's his name, and just be like, someone else can pick ahead of me.
I think that's a very good question. It's not no who's the best, who's the greatest. It's the who's one of the greats ever, but number 8. That's good. Like Jerry West.
I'd have to think about it a little bit more.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Wait, you had LeBron? You had LeBron in the top 5?
Yeah, LeBron and Jordan would be 1 and 2.
If knowing what we know now, I think LeBron and Jordan. I don't know who. I'm not going to say one would certainly go one over the other. I think those would be the first 2 picks, though.
Yep.
Is Jordan would be 1 or 2, and LeBron would be 1 or 2.
Kareem would be there. Wilt Chamberlain would be there. Magic Johnson would be in the top 5.
I think I agree that those would be the top 5 in some order.
Yeah, pretty confident top 5. And then after that, because what makes the question great is the top 5 more than likely. But then after that, once you get to 6, 7, and 8, it's well, what do you like more?
And you wouldn't put Bill Russell in there, or you think he would be on the fringe?
Yeah, he'd be one of those top 10 guys, but he's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that Russell's not good. I think all the guys in the top 5 were better scorers than he was. Not that you need to be like the best scorer ever, but I mean, if you're going top 5 of anyone in history, like you probably want a guy who you can say, yeah, get us like 40 points tonight. Not that Russell's never scored 40, but I think the other 5 could just show up and get 40 much, much easier.
What about Shaq?
Yeah. Shaq's Tim Duncan.
My 3 that I would hope to get would be some order. I don't know in what order, but probably either Kobe, Shaq, or Kevin Durant. I think I would want one of those 3 guys.
Kevin Durant, Shaq.
What about Kevin Garnett?
He'd be down there.
How about this? Where is Michael Olowokandi? Which, by the way, is he the center that has led all the Clippers?
Chris Kaman was the.
I forgot about him. Maybe the ugliest NBA player ever.
Hakeem Olajuwon.
He'd be perfect in a royal wedding.
Shit. Hakeem Olajuwon, Karl Malone.
Karl Malone would be a good one, too. I mean, if you go not a center, but a power forward. I mean, either Tim Duncan and Karl Malone, I feel like, are the 2 best power forwards ever in NBA history.
That'd be interesting. That would be a fun exercise to get like 30 guys together, 30 NBA guys or whoever.
Yeah, you could do it serpentine, so you could even go. I mean, and you wouldn't even have to do backups. Just go a top 5, so you get 5 picks to figure out your starting 5, and so yeah. I mean, if you pick
I'd like to go 10 deep. I'd like to go 10 deep.
We could do it. You know what? We could. Well,
Well,
I
that's a
mean,
good place.
we could do it through the lounge. You'd have to do it with multiple teams, or each person would have multiple teams.
Us three here, Schottenkirk, Drew, Marcus would be 6, Coob would be 7.
Boots?
Fuck no. That'd be interesting. Maybe the Whistler get stacking. Can you get the Whistler on here?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I'll get right on that.
We'll get Baby Hove on here. That'd be interesting.
Because I mean, even when it's done, like you could look at who the winners and losers are. Like every team's going to be loaded. Then you're just into like which team's more loaded than others, and like which guys can play off each other better.
That would be fun. And really, basketball is like the only sport you could do this with.
Yeah, because I mean, if you do it in football, there's just too many positions. And it's offense or defense, and you would need to do 22 rounds. And even with baseball, like you could do it with baseball also, but there's still just so many players.
Let's
basketball.
say you did that draft.
Well, I mean, like at any point in the NBA, there's a 10 best players, and if you don't have one of the 10 best players, you're probably not going to win the finals. And like Krenz has mentioned numerous times, you basically need 2 Hall of Famers just to win an NBA title, period, with very few exceptions. And I think even with this, it would take it to a bigger degree that if you don't have like one of the like 15 best players, it would potentially be hard to win, but clearly we can't magically make all these guys in their prime play together.
Let's say you did this with football, 32 teams. How long would it take a team not to take a quarterback? Would there be some team that would not take a quarterback, say in the top 10 or top 20?
In the top, I think someone in the top 10 would not take a quarterback because like
who would be
probably my guess would be someone like either Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, or Lawrence Taylor, either an elite, one of the 2 best receivers ever, or someone, or I guess maybe like Bruce Smith, someone who's just just one of the, like, I think either a top 2, top 3 receiver or a top 3 pass rusher would be the only guys that you would say, well, we're going to get this guy instead of a quarterback. And it would be because, you know, the top 7 quarterbacks you wanted have already been taken.
Would Tom Brady be number 1?
I think Brady has the best resume ever. I think if we were going purely off talent, I don't think Tom Brady would be the first quarterback.
John
Elway might be the first. I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Who's the top 5? We know our basketball top 5. Who is the football? Is it John Elway?
Are you talking just quarterbacks?
No, it would be anybody, but I would assume it would be all quarterbacks.
I think the top 5 would probably be all quarterbacks.
Elway, Marino, Brady, Montana,
Manning,
yes. Is that your 5? Anybody else?
Knowing what we know now, I might substitute Drew Brees for one of those guys. He's only won 1 Super Bowl, but sort of like Brees and Aaron Rodgers, I don't think they're going to have as many Super Bowls as some guys. They might just be better like passers than them, though. So I don't know. I might put those guys. I don't know, though.
Can I throw in Jim Brown?
I don't want to sound hot takey. I'm not saying Jim Brown wasn't good.
Is Jim Brown the Bill Russell?
Well, like Jim Brown was like bigger than half the defenders that were trying to tackle him. And like I'm not taking away that he's not talented, but I think if he played today, like I think he would still be very good. But it wouldn't be like, oh, you ran over every linebacker because you're faster than them and also 10 pounds heavier. Like if that makes sense.
Just different game, different time. Very good question. I like that a lot. Do you know, Stacken, do you know what happened 7 years ago today? Where were you at 7 years ago today?
7 years ago today would have been
May 20th.
2011
Also, Charlie, May 20th, 2011. I remember where I was when I heard this news.
Oh, it's news. It's not a specific. My first thought was it was something we did for South Dakota State, and it was like the summer league trap meet that Krenz and I worked where they didn't even need us there, and we just sat there and we posted like results on a piece of paper on a board once every hour.
Very much needed. I remember I heard this news, I think, in the morning. Maybe late morning, early afternoon.
It was much needed. Is it sports related?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I think I saw some. I don't know if this is specifically what Krenz is talking about, but recently I saw something about this, and the way he kind of smiled when Stacken asked if it was sports related. If you want to guess, I don't know. This is a guess on my part, but I'll let you guess first if you want to guess.
Give me a hint to tell me that. Sure.
Hint. Slim Jims.
Very good. It was 7 years ago today, Stacken. Yep. The Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Oh God, how the hell would I know that?
It was Krenz that told me about it. I got a text from him. Like, oh wow.
He had a heart attack driving a vehicle in Florida with his wife at the time.
Huh.
I think the heart attack killed him more than the crash. Because he hit a tree. But he wasn't going very fast. I think he was in town.
Huh.
So there we go. 7 years ago, Stack, you'll never forget.
Nope, I won't forget. You can ask me 7 years ago as well from today, and I still won't forget.
Good.
And I still won't remember.
Very good. Anything else? As we roll on here.
No.
Softball was really good this year. They played in the WNIT, which I had no idea there was such a thing, for Christ's sake, for softball.
I did not know they had that for softball.
Is there not one for baseball? Is there?
It's dumb.
I don't know. There could be for baseball. I don't know.
I can understand why there is for basketball because people will actually watch, but for baseball or softball, come on.
Preakness. Justify won the Preakness. Will you win the Triple Crown?
The horse won. Yep. Is he going to do it? I'll guess no. It was very close.
I don't know. I'm going to say no also. Part of me kind of doesn't want the horse to do it, only because when it happened, it was like 3 or 4 years ago when we had a Triple Crown winner, and that was like the first time in 30 years that it seemed like a really big deal. That it would just kind of seem like less of a big deal if this horse did it. Who was
that horse that won the Triple Crown?
I have already forgotten.
I forgot. They mentioned it yesterday. Wasn't it American Graffiti or something like that?
It was American Pharaoh.
American
Pharaoh.
See, like I thought it would be a big deal when it happened, and it kind of was. But again, I've forgotten all about it. Until they mentioned it yesterday, I would have not a clue. So that's unfortunate.
But certainly the Belmont, the people who run that, are incredibly stoked because now there will be far more attention paid to it since there's a chance of the Triple Crown.
It's always.
I mean, I don't know this, but I think it's safe to assume when the Kentucky Derby winner loses in the Preakness that the ratings and the amount of bets and the amount of coverage that the Belmont gets is much, much lower, I'm assuming.
It is, but last year I think Belmont had a very good rating, lower than the Preakness and the Derby, but it was still very high considering there was no Triple Crown threat.
15 channels apparently in the U.S. or 15 networks showed the wedding yesterday.
Ooh, can we do a trivia question as to which network showed it? Do you have a list there in front of you?
I don't have all of them.
Okay.
Well, let's see. Well,
No?
One. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 14 here, I guess. If you want to, take a crack at it.
All right.
We could do that. I'm okay with this. I'm gonna. There's a lot of channels that I don't watch, but based off what I know about them, I might be able to.
If you added up how many people do you think watched? I got 14, I guess, 15 networks here.
Someone said billions of people watch him. Like that's ridiculous.
Just in this country.
Did they say how many? Do they say how many people watched it?
Yeah.
I will say
Are you Corinne, is your number, is that global or in the United States?
Just in the US.
I'm gonna say it's less than a Super Bowl, but it's still relatively high. I will say 73 million.
I will guess 11 million.
29?
Ah.
I mean, it was at 6 in the goddamn morning here.
That's true. What a stupid guess, 73 million.
Let's see. In the U.S., coverage vary network to network. The wedding was from 7 a.m. Eastern to 8:15 a.m. Eastern on 15 networks. The networks carrying live coverage included 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I say let's go 14, I guess. 14.
Stacking, you can guess first.
Right,
I'll give you
CBS.
the first guess.
14 channels that you could probably get on DirecTV or Dish or whatever the hell you have. You said what,
Okay.
CBS?
Yep.
CBS showed the TV, yes.
Oh, I didn't think of network channels. So if they did, then I guess I will guess NBC did.
NBC also showed it.
David Muir was live with Robin Roberts on ABC.
ABC showed it as well.
All right, I'm going to start getting into different ones now. I will guess the BBC showed it.
BBC America, I will accept, yes.
Yeah, I thought that I would have that in my back pocket, and you've stolen that here. So we'll go CNN.
This is correct.
Man, Stacking's smart to guess news channels. I'm thinking of the other ones.
He doesn't know.
You know what?
I can't tell you the center for the the Seattle Supersonics / Oklahoma City Thunder, but God damn it, I could tell you who all tuned in for the wedding.
It turns out that Stacking has been the Sports Lounge's correspondent to the royal wedding.
That's very true.
I will guess the Entertainment Channel.
Yes, they did. How about that? They did.
Very good. I will go T. Rump's favorite channel, Fox News.
Fox News showed it as well.
I will go with Bravo.
It's not on my list here.
Ah.
Let's go MSNBC.
MSNBC showed it.
How about
There's one on
Oxygen?
here that's nope. There's one on here that's odd. The rest of them are like, all right, yeah, sure. There's one I've never heard of, I guess, but there's one that it's like, they showed it. That's weird. Yeah.
I've kind of gone out of.
1, 2,
Unfortunately, since I got one wrong, now I'm only going to be trying to guess the one that sticks out. That's odd on there.
There's 6 left on here.
15. That's so.
14. We'll go with 14.
14. That's that's
a lot. It's obscene.
asinine.
So technically, Bravo could have been one, and that just wasn't one of the ones on your list.
No. Well,
But we're not going to go with that. That makes it too complicated.
nope.
We'll say Lifetime.
Wait a minute.
Nope. Good guess. That would be. It's in that area, yeah.
I'm trying to guess the one that it is odd. I will guess I don't remember if it's called channel or network, but the Food Network or the Food Channel, the Cooking Channel, that one.
Well, Telemundo and Univision, some Spanish-speaking ones, so those are knock those off the board. There's also something called CNNE. I guess I've never heard of that.
Okay. How about Oxygen?
Nope, Charlie said that.
Oh, sorry. We television.
There are 3 left. I would say 2
I
news
think there's
stations.
one called just O, and it's like the Oprah channel. How about that one?
There are 2 news type stations, I would say, and 1 oddball one. 1 more entertainment lifestyle network. PBS is 1.
Okay.
Headline News, HLN, CNN.
Oh, sure.
No. Okay.
Was like Fox News, Fox Business News, or CNBC listed on there?
Nope. The other one more guess at the weird one. They show shows you probably don't watch that network much at all, I would imagine. It's got 3 letters in it.
Well, did they used to show different stuff, and that's what it's about, but they don't show that at all anymore?
True TV?
No.
I'm going to go. Is it either MTV or VH1?
No, like I wouldn't even know how to describe this fucking shit.
Is it the do-it-yourself network?
No. Let's see if I can find it and see what the fuck is on there right now. Where is it even? I don't even know what channel it would be. Let's see. It has. All right, I guess this is the show on there that's on there right now. 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After.
Oh, God, TLC.
Whatever that is, I guess.
The learning.
It stands for the Learning Channel. I don't know if I've ever watched it before.
They used to have like John and Kate plus 8. They have Say Yes to the Dress. They have My 600-Pound Life, which is
popular in the American household.
It is not. I have, though. I'm familiar with it. They have it on at the gym every once in a while. Because
smart to show My 600-Pound Life at the gym to show you what you want to avoid. Smart thinking on the gym's part.
Very.
There we go. TLC was the wild card, and thanks for Jim for participating. No show next week. It is the Memorial Day weekend, so have your Mondays off.
Flags up, America.
Flags up and pants on.
Oh, flags up. I thought Stacken said legs up, America. I was going to say, is that a sex joke?
There we go. Very exciting. For the folks involved, for Dust V and a good Charlie hypothetical. We'll see. We'll see you when we see you. Lounge 251 podcast stack. And what do we got coming up here?
Well, I think we will have the second coming on here eventually. We had some.
Jeff Lloyd II.
Jeff Lloyd II. Sure will be you will be joining.
Oh, Jeff Lloyd. Tell him I said hi. I don't know who that is. Just kidding.
Well, hopefully land Marcus on for some Stanley Cup final talk, because by the time I talk to him, Tampa Bay will have eliminated Washington. So get ready for that. We'll talk some NBA lottery. It's a short podcast coming up this week. We're entering the seasons of short podcasts because there isn't much to talk about.
A home run in the bottom of the 9th for Seattle to tie it up.
Yes!
My heaven.
Hey,
who's Seattle playing?
Detroit.
Fuck you, Detroit.
I don't like the Tigers. I've never liked the Tigers.
Hey, remember, Crins, this is good for us. We need to catch Schottenkirk, and B.
You know what? You know what's interesting about what is this, like the 4th year we've been doing this?
Yep.
The standings are always the same. Schottenkirk's usually win it. Didn't you win it one year? You're usually 2nd or 3rd. Charlie and me and Drew are at the fucking bottom. Marcus is like in the middle. It's like you would think one year it'd be different, but apparently it's
not. The first year I gave
what is this we're talking about?
With the baseball picks.
Oh, yeah, because I always get lazy and just start saying, well, who's playing the Reds or the White Sox this week, and just start doing that.
Let's see. I have it up here. In 2015, I just kind of gave up. I forgot my picks. I think it was like middle of July or August, something like that.
And to remedy the situation, you pick in advance.
Right. So 2015... Let's see who won the deal here. Marcus won it. David was 2nd. Drew was 3rd. Travis was fourth.
Evan won it last year. I think he killed folks.
Yeah, 2016, David won. Charlie was second. Marcus third. I was fourth. You were fifth.
I know. 2016, I was out to like a huge lead, and then I was on vacation. Forgot to update it while I was on vacation, and then like the next week, forgot to do it, and I saw it in the chat. Like someone was like, "Who do you want?" And I just like said a random team without thinking about it, and they went like 0-5 that week, and it ended up hurting me.
And then last year, yes, it was Evan. Evan was first. Evan won it all. I was second. David third. Travis fourth. Marcus fifth. Charlie sixth. It was 4.5 games back of Evan. This year, I have not gone and picked in all weeks, but I've picked most weeks. And Travis, you and I seem to be picking somewhat of the same here as of late.
There we go.
What place am I in right now, Stackin?
You are currently in 6th. You are dead last.
Whoops.
But that doesn't factor into this week at all. You had the – oh, wait, maybe it does. You had the Cubs that went 4-3. So, yes, you are 2 games back right now of Travis, potentially 2.5 games back.
If we wanted to mix it up, we would have – all right, if you're last, you get the first pick, I guess, of the – not every week, but
we would do it kind of like we do the college football one.
Yeah,
where teams nobody can pick the same team as someone else.
I think we should change it up for college football this year. It should be based on like your standings total, not just based on the previous week. It should be where you're at for the season.
We'll take it up with the committee and see what we have to say there.
Yeah, we don't have to decide that right now, but I'd be okay if we did that.
For Charlie Hildebrand, for Marcus Traxler, and for Jim. We'll see you in a couple weeks. It'll be June already. The year will be half over almost. 251 in the books. June. We'll see.